How are we all doing?
Good
Sunday
evening,
evening.
good evening, good evening, good evening. Ryan, Martin, good evening.
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 This is the 20, the Premier League show, the unbiased Premier League show brought to you from a Manchester City perspective. Ryan and Martin, let's get a few of the headline topics out of the way before we dive into this week's Premier League action. Martin, start us off, baby.
I'm going to go with everyone at the channel knows and everyone out there in the football world that the City legend, top goal scorer himself, Sergio Kun Aguero, unfortunately left Barcelona's game yesterday with breathing difficulties, and he was rushed to hospital in ambulance. To since come out that he has got a cardiac arrhythmia. Now, all that they know is that he is diagnosed, which basically means that he's got an irregular heartbeat at the moment. He did leave the pitch in Barcelona's 1-1 draw with Alves, which that's irrelevant. But obviously, he's now come out with an irregular cardiac arrhythmia, which is again the irregular heartbeat. So,
yep, absolutely worthy of special mention. Worthy of special mentions, and this is the Premier League show, as Nathan, the pedantic person in the chat, has just pointed out. Yes, we know it's a Premier League show, but we thought it was worthy of mention as he is our all-time greatest record goal scorer from Manchester City, and we wish him all well. Right, gentlemen, on to the weekend's Premier League action. The early kick-off: Leicester versus Arsenal. Arsenal away 2-0. Leicester are flying high. Sorry, no, they're not. Leicester are in the bin. Arsenal are flying high. They went to Leicester Vitality Stadium, or whatever it's called, I don't friggin' know, and beat them, because I'm used to the old name, beat them 2-0. What's going on at Leicester and what's going on at Arsenal?
It's funny for me, Leicester's gone downhill since Brendan Rodgers started getting linked with every job in the Premier League.
You mean linked by you?
Well, no, not by me, but he's been linked with everyone from the Newcastle
Martin's favourite Twitter sources.
United job. No, he literally has been linked with United, City, and Newcastle, and the forms have dropped because they're doing really. I mean, they're doing well in Europe. They won 4-0 last time in Europe, but in the Premier League, they just seem to have totally fallen off a cliff.
Now, is that because of Europe? You said they're flying high in Europe, but the league form certainly has taken a big old dip.
A big dip.
And it almost started with when we went there and beat them.
Yeah. Definitely.
You know, because at the very start of the season, you know, they beat us in the Community Shield or the Charity Shield, whatever you want to call it. They were looking decent again. And they started the season looking decent, and they seem to have had a few wobbles. Arsenal, obviously, were at the opposite side of the coin. Arsenal started like they were a doomed, relegated team, and Mikel Arteta seems to have got them singing to the right tune now.
The thing is with Arsenal, they had a lot of new players, didn't they, at the beginning? Brought in Aaron Ramsdale, who is doing amazingly at the moment. And if you listen to former Villa and United goalkeeper Mark Bosnich, he's come out today and said Aaron Ramsdale should be the England number one from now. Now, that is obviously because of his performances under Arteta at Arsenal at the moment. But they've got Odegaard in, who's suddenly settled. Lacazette's back. Aubameyang's back. They've got, is it Lokonga? I mean, Ryan might be able to tell me if I've just butchered his name.
No, Lokonga's fine.
They've got a rhythm going and they've got a flow going. They did start the season off with a lot of COVID issues, a lot of injuries, you know, and so obviously they've got going now. The question is with Arsenal is, can they keep it going? That's the big question for Arsenal now, because I can see Arsenal going on a great 5, 6, 7 game run, but I can also see them going on a 5, 6, 7 game losing run as well. No.
Yeah, so that might be the difference with Arsenal and Leicester, because I know Ryan might say different. Ryan laughed at us all for writing Arsenal off anyway, but the difference between an Arsenal and a Leicester right now is Leicester have got European football, Arsenal haven't, and you'd think that they were about the same level of team, or at least I would. I know Ryan wouldn't. Ryan, what are you saying? Is the impact of not having European football paying dividends for Arsenal and taking its burden on Leicester?
I think it'll be having a bit of an impact on the squad. I don't think it's necessarily a massive one because, as you saw with Arsenal, the last few years, at least in the Europa League, until they were getting to the semi-finals, it was just kids every week, and you'd have like one or two senior players in like a Lacazette, or obviously Smith Rowe's kind of broke through to the first team now. It was probably in that bracket, and they are playing some of the younger signings they made in the summer, in Lokonga and Tavares. They've both been pretty much starting for them, unless it's Tierney on that left-hand side. So, yeah, Arsenal are in a good place right now, which I kind of expect them to be in once they got everyone back fit. Leicester, again, I don't think Europe's necessarily having a giant impact, because I think they have the facilities to rotate, and they are still doing well enough in their group for it to not be warranting, say, a full strength starting 11 every Europa League game. But it'll be having an impact. I just think Leicester obviously were crap for the majority of the end of last season, and have just kind of carried on that pretty form into this season.
Can we talk about goalkeepers a second? Now, this takes us away a little bit from the Premier League, but it's English football still. Now, for the last couple of years, the first choice for England has been Everton's keeper, hasn't it? And he's had his criticisms. He's quite stable, but he's also quite irrational. He's a bit of an oxymoron. Does this mean that Arsenal's keeper now? Because the reason why I want to bring keepers up is because a couple of years ago, Chelsea brought in Kepa, whatever his face is,
for huge money.
And now he's I know his second name, Ryan. I like to butcher it. But brought him in for huge money. He's now a bench warmer. And they've got Mendy, who's a great goalkeeper. No disputing that. Great goalkeeper. Arsenal, similar. They brought Leno in, right? Leno wasn't cheap.
Yeah. He was around 36, something like that.
And now they're relying on the young English lad. So, is it a bit of a resurgence? It's healthy competition for the England national team? Is he going to be consistent? Was this just a one-off weekend where he did well, or what's the story?
He's done well recently, but do you remember Henderson at Sheffield United?
Yeah.
Do you remember when
United were lauding him as the next?
Yeah. And we played, I think it was Sheffield United over at Bramall Lane, and he was like their man of the match. He was superb, amazing, and we were all lauding him as the next coming for England goalkeepers. And then all of a sudden, you've just not heard from him. I think he's gone back to United. I can't remember if he's gone out on loan somewhere else again, or whether he's still at United. But you just never heard of him again.
Yeah, there was talk. I seem to remember up to about 18 months ago, there was massive talk that Henderson was replacing De Gea. De Gea was done. Blah blah. Anyway, so it's an interesting one that we can look at in the future. England goalkeepers and where they're going. Let's move on to the next fixture. And the first thing that stood out, I've only seen extended highlights for this, but the first thing that stood out for me was Burnley 3, Brentford 1. What stood out for me was that we've kind of written Burnley off a little bit, and I think Burnley have served Brentford with a reminder why they've been in the Premier League for 4 or 5 years consistently. Because Burnley, they never light the world on fire, let's be honest. They're never going to get in the top 4, but they are a stable Premier League club. And Brentford, I think if you're a Brentford fan so far this season, you're in dreamland. They've overachieved. And Burnley just sort of might have slapped them with a little bit of a reminder of, we've played this game before. You know, there's a reason why we survive in the Premier League. Because at the end of the day, if you're a promoted team like Brentford and Norwich and all the rest of it, all you can expect to do is try and beat the teams that will be around you when it comes to the end of the season, right? And Burnley and Brentford and Norwich are all going to be within 10, 15 points of each other. So the fact that Burnley have sort of laid down that marker and just reminded them of why they do constantly get Premier League survival, I just thought it was a little bit of a, they've lost a couple of games on the bounce now.
Reminder.
Just a little bit of a reminder that Burnley's sort of like, and I hate to say this, but Burnley's sort of like the yardstick for where promoted teams need to be. You beat Burnley or you compete with Burnley. If you beat Burnley or you compete with Burnley, you'll have a good chance of staying up. And Burnley just sort of served them with that reminder a little bit. What do you two think?
Brentford. If you look at Brentford, they started off really well, flying out the traps. beat Arsenal. They went on. They beat, I think it was Wolves, and they're in the quarter-final or the last 8 of the Carabao Cup. But if you look at the Premier League, they've now lost 3 on the bounce. And the one thing you don't want to do in the Premier League is go on to a losing run. They got beat by Chelsea. They got beat. Sorry, they got beat by Leicester, beat by Chelsea, both at home, may I add. And then they got beat yesterday by Brentford. They did have, obviously,
by Burnley. This is what I was kind of saying, yeah. Martin. So when Brentford get promoted, they look at a Leicester game and they look at a Chelsea game and they say, probably not going to get points out of those. We can try, but probably realistically we're not going to get points. But when they look at Burnley, they think, right, this is where we need to at least take a point, and they've not done that. So it's a downward trend, and they need to light a fire under it and try and get it sorted.
It's a hard thing to get up on as well. When you start on that losing run, it's hard to turn that around.
I think Brentford so far this season have kind of reminded me a lot of Norwich last time they.
Please tell me I've just lost Ryan there and not lost you as well, Martin.
No, I'm fine. I'm still there.
No technical difficulties. Ryan is back. Tell us, Ryan.
I don't know why that just put me on hold for some reason. So, anyway. So they remind me a lot of that season where Norwich came, they got the win against us, and Timu Pukki was lighting the league on fire.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago. And then they had that was pretty much it for their entire season. They had the first 10 games, Pukki was scoring. They won
they came out the traps flying, didn't they? And everyone said, "Oh, this Norwich team's serious," and Pukki's going to be but this all happened within the first 10 games, didn't it? And then they were done.
They beat us 3-2.
That's a very good comparison to draw there, Ryan. Very good. I do hope for Brentford's sake, because they do play nice football. They're not oofball, and they're not 10 behind the ball. So I do hope that it does come all right for them. But yeah, it is a good comparison to draw there, Ryan.
I want them to stay up because I'm looking forward to going down to their new gaff, and I just think one of them.
Well, let's move on then. Let's move on to the game that should have been good news for Manchester City fans, and that's Liverpool and Brighton 2-2 draw at Anfield. So is that back-to-back home draws now for Liverpool? Back-to-back 2-2 draws, isn't it, in the league?
Just before you do that, is our friend in the chat? I can't see him. Oh, I wonder why. Anyway, he seems to have gone quiet a little bit. But Liverpool, for me, listen, I thought 2-0. Mane, Salah, they're off, they're flying. But then Brighton did something to Liverpool what they did to us. If you remember when we played them, Brighton played that second half and came out the traps flying. And they did the exact same thing at Anfield. They came out, and let's not forget, they had 2 goals disallowed as well through VAR. I know Liverpool had a goal disallowed, but so Brighton didn't go there to make up numbers. When they were 2-0 down, if anyone, when they got back to 2-2, there was only one team going on to win that. And that was Brighton. And what worries me for Liverpool is once Mane and Salah go bye-bye in about 3 weeks, they're screwed. They are screwed.
But, I mean, obviously Liverpool didn't know what our result was going to be. But Chelsea managed to get themselves a little bit of breathing room, didn't they? What are they on, 25 or something like that now? We're still on 20, Liverpool on 22, is it? Something like that.
Yeah,
but So it was a chance for Liverpool and Chelsea to sort of put a little bit of a buffer zone in between them and us, and they haven't.
Sorry, I didn't even know them.
And they didn't. So does it show Liverpool frailties? I don't know. Brighton are not a bad team. Let's not write Brighton off. They did very well. Second half against us the other week, they did very well as well. So yeah. I really did think that Liverpool would just go on one of those runs where they put every single home game to bed, and they haven't. So yeah, kind of good for the league because it keeps things more competitive than it would have been. Because at the minute it's just Chelsea that have got that buffer zone really. Liverpool
Sorry,
have got
I said Salah. It was Henderson who scored my half, but Salah has set it up.
So yeah, Liverpool have got a little bit of a buffer, but it's not as convincing as they'd want it to be, especially with this period coming up in December, January, where they lose key players to the AFCON and stuff like that. Ryan, what are you saying, lad?
Yeah, from what I've heard from my mate that was at the game, it was just kind of like sort of similar to the City game in a way that from his perspective as a Liverpool fan, it was one of those games where but obviously to a much better degree than the City game. Yeah, Brighton, I think what will have really helped them compared to when they played us is they got that goal just before half time. And because I think it was 41st minute Mwepu scored in for Brighton. And once you've got that one goal back, especially in the second half, when you are a team that probably plays like Brighton, that getting that first one back, you then have 45 minutes to get a second and even push on and continue playing, which rather than say get the equaliser and then back off again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, it was a good day for Brighton.
Let's move on to the disaster at the Etihad. I want to put it out there. I'm a Manchester City fan and a season ticket holder, but let's put this out there. You can't ridicule Manchester United fans for leaving on 60, 70 minutes when they're getting beat by a world-class Liverpool team 5-0, and then a week later do the same.
Because the guy beside me left at half-time.
Now, so anyone who did leave early, you're in the bin because you undoubtedly also ridiculed United fans. But let's put things into perspective. United got thumped by Liverpool. We got thumped by Crystal Palace. Nathan said a minute ago in the comments about Johnny Evans throwing Aubameyang on the floor just in the same way as Laporte. Look, it was a red card. Laporte was a red card, full stop. But you can't look at other games. I mean, Phil Foden wasn't offside by the new rules, but we've still got given offside. Whatever. In many ways,
the one in the Villa game today was also similar.
Yeah, in many ways we were rightfully beaten by Crystal Palace. They came at us with a plan, executed that plan. They got at us early. Now, can anyone think of a team that attacked us early, very early?
Southampton were the only one.
Southampton, and they got a draw out of it.
Yeah. Everyone else generally sits back and doesn't look scared. And the worrying thing is with me, the two teams that have come and had a go, I've got joy. So if you're a team watching at the moment, you're a manager watching, you're going to go. I mean, I'm going to be honest, that's something that's been labelled at Manchester City for the last 2 or 3 years, by the way, that attack them and they have got frailties. But teams have decided to come to the Etihad and not do that.
Yeah.
All you have to do is run at Laporte and they'll just run away. And
it's about being embarrassed, isn't it, Martin? I mean, sometimes if you come to the Etihad, you're going to get beat 6-0. In fact, more than not, you're going to get beat 6-0 when you come to the Etihad.
Yeah.
So why not attack us?
It
depends on the manager, doesn't it? Some managers are going to say, right, I don't want to get pumped 6-0, and some managers are going to say, well, screw it, I'm going to get pumped 6-0 anyway. I might as well try. Now, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as Ryan's concerned, because we've had a conversation about this, we get Stones back for the derby. Stones and Diaz are our best centre-half partnership. I don't care what anyone says. If anyone thinks
get Stones back for weeks,
if anyone thinks that Diaz and Laporte are a better pair than Diaz and Stones, you're deluded. Stones and Diaz are by far our best centre-half partnership. I'm glad that John Stones has got some Premier League minutes in his legs because I didn't want to see John Stones going fresh into the Manchester derby. The other thing I will say is there was a 10-minute period in the second half before Pep made the substitutions that Manchester City actually looked back on top of the game. We looked in control. We looked like we were going to win. And then what happened was he brought Mahrez and Sterling on. Neither were particularly great. Neither were particularly awful. And we sort of crumbled again. So a bit of weird tactics from Pep, in my opinion, considering that we were back on top with 10 men at the start, the first part of the second half.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd like to say is on the BBC, they have like a bit where you can rate players, a player rating.
I looked at that.
Laporte got sent off and got like a 5.6 out of 10. Raheem Sterling
was our third best player.
Raheem Sterling came on for like 20 minutes, wasn't awful, wasn't great, and he got the lowest rating. So if somebody wants to tell me that there's not still some sort of racist agenda going on there, I don't know what to say, because it's disgusting. Raheem Sterling did nothing wrong, nothing right either. He was just as average as everybody else, yet he got the lowest player rating by some margin. He got 3 points less on the player rater than a player that got sent off. So absolute heads gone from all the morons that are out there in the world of football.
I mean, Guaita easily won the player ratings on that from their perspective. I think he made like one save all game of any note.
Yeah. The other thing I will say as well, Edison, you completely got your... I want, and I'm going to invest in one while this channel's still growing. You know the boards that they use on Monday Night Football where they can adjust player positions and stuff like that? I'm going to invest in one soon because I want to show you what Edison got wrong again yesterday. His positioning was awful for the first goal. He got his angles completely wrong. Completely wrong.
The first goal, I thought it got deflection the way it went in.
No, it was just a really crappy scuffed shot.
It shouldn't be going in. Can I just put a little bit of perspective into this?
Go for it.
When every City fan has told me United are crap, Ollie out, this, that, and the other, and we're amazing. We've gone to Chelsea, we've drawn at Liverpool. Man United beat us next week, they're level on points.
Well, this is a thing that I was going to get into in a little bit, Martin.
So
you've brought it up now.
I have to bring that up because it's bugging me that United are crap, we're world class, but they beat us next week, which hopefully they won't do. And we're level pegging with them.
Yeah. Well, Martin, remember, you're going off topic, buddy. Let's stick to the topic. Let's stick to the game. Right. So the other things are yes, I know it angers you. Save it for a program where we can talk about how it angers you. The next thing I want to say is Jack Grealish again, bang average, nothing special. I keep getting told by Martin and other people, give him a season, give him 2 seasons, blah blah blah. But what's Jack Grealish offering right now? What is he actually offering right now?
He offers his 3-yard passes to the left to Cancelo and to the right.
What's Jack Grealish offered?
To Bernardo.
What's Jack Grealish offered this season that persevering with Sterling wouldn't have offered? Or playing Phil Foden out on the left would have offered? He's offering absolutely nothing. And the other thing as well, we made a video last week talking about our central midfield. Okay, and we had a little debate about Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva. Now, we all agree completely that Bernardo Silva plays in midfield, rain or shine, no matter what, unless he's dead. Okay? Yesterday's game, and I am not an advocate of Ilkay Gundogan. You know that I've given him dog's abuse before. But what the hell was KDB doing yesterday? He's a shadow of himself. He's either still injured, he's overweight, unfit, whatever it is, but he is not in our best 11 by a long shot at the minute. He was awful.
He was jogging around a lot and passing the ball off the pitch.
I hate to say it, but if you had Ilkay Gundogan in the midfield yesterday, we would have done a lot better for it. A lot better for it.
I'm gonna save me stuff for KDB and that on another show. I don't want to, because I'll just go into a big rhetoric, and I don't want to do that.
So yeah, that was what happened at the Etihad, and it was the Etihad yesterday. It was bloody embarrassing. So if any of you were there and you left early after criticising United fans for leaving early the week, shame on you.
But Man City,
and that statement's not going to make any friends, but it was embarrassing. We've been with this club for nearly 40 years, and if anyone over the age of 30 left early yesterday, you're embarrassing, because we've experienced way worse than this. So get your dummy back off the floor, wipe it down and put it back in your mouth. You have got a right to do whatever you want with your ticket, I get that. But don't slag off United for leaving early when they're getting beat 5-0 by Liverpool, and then do the same thing when we're getting beat by Crystal Palace. You support your team no matter what. That's why you're a Manchester City fan. You support your team. Right, let's move on. Newcastle 0, Chelsea 3. Ryan, kick us off.
Newcastle are crap. Probably shouldn't have got rid of Steve Bruce. Would have been at least a bit more well ordered at the back, probably. Yeah, I don't know what the plan is at Newcastle at the moment. They're just waiting for a transfer window, really, by the looks of things. and they know they're going to get pumped in the league by pretty much most teams that are of any decent quality, which was the case yesterday or Saturday.
Can you justify yet why they sacked Steve Bruce? Can anyone tell me this?
Because it's Steve Bruce.
No, but the thing is, right? We got dogs abuse. We got dogs abuse when we got rid of Mark Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
But Mancini was already sat in the stands waiting to take over. Newcastle United have sacked Steve Bruce, a manager that is proven either to, one, get you out of the crap if you end up in Division 1 and bring you back into the Premier League, or just about keep you in the Premier League. What was the point on getting rid of him with no backup plan?
I'll tell you why. To get the fans back on side.
No, getting Mike Ashley out of the club was getting the fans back on side.
Yeah, it's Mike Ashley, and then the next step was Bruce out, because they wanted both gone. So what they've done is, there's an old saying, be careful what you wish for. Because yes, Newcastle have now been taken over. And yes, they've got rid of Ashley. And yes, they've got rid of Bruce.
But it's baffling because
I think a lot of the fans,
2 weeks ago,
they didn't like how Bruce played.
But statistically, he was exactly the same.
The state of the squad, and that they would be battling relegation.
Statistically, he was about the same as Rafa Benitez. He was no different in his win-loss ratio than Rafa Benitez.
Yeah, they didn't accept that, but...
Well, that's true. He's about the same. They were, honestly, game to game, Newcastle had about the same amount of points and the same amount of goals under Rafa as they did under Bruce. But yet they want Rafa back and get rid of Bruce. It was just disgusting.
We live in a different world, though, Rob. We now live in a world where playing sexy football is more important than the result now. Because you get this whole thing of, oh, well, it doesn't, win or lose, at least we went there and we had a go and we tried. Well, great.
All I can say is it's a little bit of a head's gone, Martin, because all I can say is we've been told time after time, Newcastle are the new big boys, Newcastle are the richest, blah, 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 blah. But at least when our owners took over, there was somewhat of a plan. Was it right to get rid of Mark Hughes in the way we did? Ethically, maybe a little bit of a grey area, but he was a draw merchant and we were sick to death of him. Was it right eventually to bring Mancini in, and the fact that Mancini was right there waiting in the stands ready to succeed? Yep, that was a perfect strategy. A little bit harsh on Mark Hughes maybe from a footballing perspective, but as a fan it was the right thing and we had the man ready to go. Newcastle United have got rid of Steve Bruce when Steve Bruce has given heart, soul, effort and everything to that club, and they've got no plan B. So it was a bit of a heads gone shocker for me. Yeah. So let's actually talk about the game. Chelsea thumped them 3-0. We expected... Look, Steve Bruce or no Steve Bruce, we expected Chelsea to go there and get 3 points anyway, didn't we?
Yes. And from what I heard, it was attack versus defence. It was literally...
They had like 20% possession.
The whole game. The only thing that gutted me is I took Reece James out of my fantasy team and then he goes and scores an absolute banger yesterday. So that upset me a little bit. But... Chelsea at the moment have opened up a little bit of a gap, now 5 points, which kind of puts our win at Chelsea a little bit irrelevant because we've kind of gone there, done all the hard work.
Not irrelevant, Martin, but it was still necessary, Martin. It was still necessary.
Yes, it was necessary, but we're still 5 behind. But Chelsea, at the end of the day, are a very good team. Thomas Tuchel is proving me wrong at the moment. Because I thought if he was going to win, he'd do it with a lot of 1-0s. Now, listen, it might be because he's gone to Newcastle, and Newcastle were going to be...
Yeah, I swear they mostly get battered every week. Yeah. It's just they're playing Newcastle now.
That's false. Maybe that's me. But Chelsea are going to be title challengers. They're not going away. And listen, they're doing this without Lukaku at the moment. That's the bit that's worrying me. They're doing it without Lukaku.
I'll tell you about the Lukaku thing, Martin. A lot of people are going to say, well, Chelsea play better without Lukaku, but the fact still remains, if it's 75 minutes into a game that they're drawing, they've got a plan B. We don't have a plan B. Even if Lukaku is the plan B striker, we don't have a plan B. We've just got a different variant of plan A, which isn't quite plan B. Let's replace like for like. Where if Chelsea, if they win in a game without Lukaku, they can win a game with Lukaku. They've got a proper defined plan A and plan B. So Chelsea are above the pack. Rightfully so at the minute, playing the best football, and it's still going to be tight between Liverpool, Chelsea and City until the end of the season, but Chelsea will come out on top, I'm telling you. Right, let's move on to the damp squib of the weekend. Sorry, Watford and Southampton, but Southampton took 3 points from Watford. expected. It could have been 1-0 either way, and I wouldn't have looked at the result with any sort of shock. Ryan?
I was shocked. Well, go on, Ryan.
Well, I don't know if you were shocked. If you have some passion speech, Martin, you go on.
No, I was only shocked because of what Watford did the week before and bringing in Dilly Dong. I thought it'd have put a bit of excitement into him, and Watford have got the players to do that. And I thought sticking 5 past Everton, I thought they'd have gone and beat Southampton comfortably. But it comes back to what you said, Ryan, on one of the shows last week about Armstrong. Southampton have to get that goal scorer going. And there he is, Johnny on the spot, bang, puts the ball in the net, in the onion bag, and away they go. 3 points, and the singing away from Vicarage Road. Saints go marching on.
Yeah, I think Southampton also seem to be either a team that will keep a clean sheet or they'll concede like 2 or 3. And it seems to just vary from week to week, near enough. Or they'll go for they'll have 2 clean sheets in a row and then they'll concede twice at the moment. Yeah, I think they have.
I see by that level of excitement, Ryan, you're ready to move on and talk about the Tottenham Man United game. Ole's back at the wheel. He's found the gearbox again and found he's got out of neutral. What's going on?
Oh, no, he's changed tactics, apparently.
I mean, Tottenham are a team that are in absolute free fall from the start of the season. If you remember, on the first day of the season, Tottenham won the Premier League trophy off City. They had a presentation ceremony and everything.
Bus parade.
A bus parade. Harry Kane actually finally got a bit of silverware. Oh dear, they lost 3-0 to Man United a week after United got spanked 5-0 off Liverpool. Was it the adequate response off United? Of course it was the adequate response off United. Is it a fake result? Yes, it's a fake result because Tottenham are absolute in the bin.
What Ollie
Is
does.
it the result we probably wanted? Probably.
It is the result we wanted because we wanted to be the reason why Ole gets sacked, and that'll come next week when we smash United at Old Trafford.
This is what Ollie does. Ollie does it. I can't remember who they played, but his head was on the chopping block, and then he went off to Paris, and they beat them in Paris. And this is what he does. Every time there's a bit of pressure, he does something remarkable, puts them on a 2 or 3 game run.
Yeah, but it's not really remarkable, is it? Beating Tottenham is not. I know.
Whopping 0 shots on
I know
target.
it's ironic. I know it's ironic, Martin, that we lost to Tottenham and saying that beating Spurs is not a massive achievement. But really, it's not a massive achievement.
No, I don't mean the Tottenham result. The biggest thing that was shocked me was he went with 2 up top. He went with Ronaldo and Cavani. That was the biggest thing that shocked, because not many managers have got the balls to go with 2 up top anymore. They just don't want to do it.
And the amazing thing is, Martin, that the Sky Sports commentators were talking about, it's the old guard, it's the old boys, old faithful, this, that, and the other. Listen, great against Tottenham, who were not, what's the average age of Tottenham's defence? About 700. They're not a fast team, are they? And Harry Kane's not exactly good at anything. So they have
football. Eric Dyer at centre back.
Eric Dyer at centre back. So of course Ronaldo. Of course, I mean it was a great. Listen, Ronaldo's first goal was great. He took it very, very well, very well.
And Cavani's a deadly finisher.
Yeah, and Cavani's a deadly finisher. But that's all they are. Rashford. I love Marcus Rashford, as you know. He's a great human being. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Rashford are great, but yeah, relying on Old Faithful, relying on the dad's army to get you wins, whatever. You can do that against Tottenham, I'm sure. But whatever.
Tottenham's manager's about to go bye. I think it's now a case of privately they will look for a new manager. I think he lost the fans, or what was left of what fans were with him yesterday. And I think Nuno Santos is dead.
Did you hear the booing? It was shocking, really.
I don't even think he really necessarily wanted to go there. I think
he was about
he'd already turned it. No, well, I think he'd already turned the job down once, and then they went back in for him later on in the summer, and he said yes, because I'm assuming they offered him more money. But apparently he's pretty much already got the sack.
I'm all happy. I'm happy as anything to be harsh against Tottenham, because they're the Bottle FC. They're not even a big team. Arsenal are the pride of London. After that, you've got Chelsea, who are a plastic made-up team. But honestly, Tottenham are absolute banter. They're serial banter FC, because they're just crap. They get one game a season where they get a good result, and it's usually in the London derby against Arsenal, or it might be against us. But they're absolutely crap. Tottenham are crap, and they've been crap forever.
Sakio, whatever it is. The El Sakio derby. And unfortunately, Tottenham won it. Tottenham lost it, and they go. Well, I don't know. Did Tottenham lose it or win it? Did they lose it? They lost the game, but are they going to win the battle?
Let me just tell you. Let me just tell you what happens.
Tottenham job, though, Martin.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying about Tottenham. What happens next at Tottenham? So let's say that they get another manager in. Let's say that they get another. Let's say that they get another Pochettino in. Okay, they've got another Pochettino. They need a new defence. They need a new midfield. They need a new striker. They need a whole new fucking squad. The only thing that Tottenham have got is
I think they need left back and centre back. Romero's good.
Tottenham, the only thing that Tottenham have got, Ryan, is the ability to pour a fast pint. That's it. That's it. They've got nothing else.
I'm playing NFL.
Sorry, and host NFL games.
Replace Kane, getting a defensive midfielder, a centre back, and maybe a left back, and they've got a good squad again. Like the three behind the striker of Moura, Lo Celso, and Son is still very good. It's just Kane is uninterested and shouldn't be at the club. Defensive midfield partnership, Højbjerg will do a solid enough job. Oliver Skip, probably not good enough. And then you have Romero's good and young. Emerson will be fine at right back. Davies is just there, and Eric Dyer's a bit crap.
Why did Moura go off? Can someone explain that one?
Who cares? Who cares? It was the banter derby. It was Manchester banter versus London banter. Manchester banter.
It was London banter, wasn't it? It was a London derby.
Yeah, oh, sorry, it was a London derby. The fans didn't have far to travel home.
Come on, get it right.
Whatever. Manchester banter won for this week. He saved his job. Ole's back at the wheel. He's the greatest manager ever. Blah, blah, blah. Who gives us flying toss? Let's move on to Sunday. Norwich versus Leeds. Leeds win 2-1 away from home at Norwich. Norwich again being the whipping boys. Or were they?
I'm happy because Rashica got an assist, and he's Kosovan, and we love Kosovan players. So
it was
happy.
I'll be honest with you. If that was the El Sacco, this was El Crapo. This was the El Crapo derby. Who could be the worst? Who could be the crappiest team? Because that was a diabolical football match today. I've heard for 2 years Leeds, Bielsa, Murderball, all this. Sorry, if I'm a season ticket holder, I'm asking what is going on. At the end of the day, he's been found out. His tactics have been found out. And he got a win today because Norwich are going down with jack shit in the bank faster than the Titanic did hitting the iceberg. Simple.
You are absolutely right,
Good
Martin.
win for Leeds.
Very good win for Leeds. Right, let's get on to the real one then. Come on, you Irons. At Aston Villa away, 4-1.
Hang on.
Very happy. We don't like Aston Villa.
No, Ryan, they're meant to be top of the league, aren't they? They were going to win the league after Grealish or finish in the top four.
What's going on with West Ham, eh? It's almost as if David Moyes knows what he's doing.
David Moyes.
It's almost as if David Moyes, given enough time and the right amount of money, knows what he's doing. What a manager.
This is a good point. Martin, you keep mentioning these washed-up crap names like Brendan Rodgers. What about David Moyes to take over after Pep?
Sign me up.
Should I turn my camera off now?
No. Let me sell this dream to you, Martin. Let me sell this dream to you, right?
No, there's no dream.
If David Moyes was the chosen one. David Moyes was the chosen one. Right? And United let him go. They didn't believe in him. They didn't believe in Ferguson. But if David Moyes came to Manchester City and he won league titles with us, how amazing would that be? Even if he was crap. Even if we just bought the leagues and bought the Champions League with David Moyes as the manager.
David Moyes won the Champions League.
How funny would it be? How funny would it be? It would be the most hilarious thing to ever happen in football if the chosen one won the league titles with City and not United. It'd be incredible, man. It'd be worth it.
Can I just say this? And you're gonna destroy me for this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. In the Premier League, year after year, there's always one team who outperforms where they should be. It's been Leicester.
Martin, you're not answering the question. How amazing would it be if David Moyes won the Premier League?
Let him tell his story here.
Sorry, no. West Ham are a fantastic club with great fans. Well, most of the fans are great. Some of them weren't last week. But that, bye. All right. No, it's not boring agenda.
It's a boring agenda you've got, Martin. Boring agenda.
Barcelona and Real Madrid.
No, let's talk about when Pep Guardiola retires, David Moyes should be his replacement.
No.
The chosen one at Manchester City. Oh my God, it'd be amazing.
The chosen one? Oh, it'd be the boring one.
Who cares?
They scored 4 goals today, Martin. City can't even create a bloody chance.
Exactly. West Ham scored 4 goals away. We can't score 4 goals in 4 games.
We can't create 4 chances. We couldn't create one against bloody Palace.
Right, and that's another thing that we'll talk about another day. I'm not saying that. But one of my point and what I'm trying to say is West Ham are that team right now who are doing well. You watch, by about February, March, they'll cliff dive.
Right, but you keep telling us that you want a British manager. Why aren't British managers making it in football?
Listen, you've got a bias towards David Moyes. We all know why.
I couldn't give a toss about David
Martin,
Moyes.
this is more of a heads gone than when you whacked out a comb before the start of the stream and started doing your hair.
How is it?
No, all right. Stop. This is the Premier League show. Let's get back onto it. West Ham went to Aston Villa, scored 4 away from home. You can't deny that is a great result for West Ham. You keep telling me that West Ham one of these weeks are going to fall off a cliff. It's not happened yet.
I said by February.
Tonight you've said that, but last week you said next week they'll fall off a cliff. But the fact of the matter is, they went to Aston Villa. All Aston Villa did last season was lose Jack Grealish. They spent that 100 and whatever million and some invested in their squad, making themselves better, and they just don't seem to be at it. Whereas West Ham do. So trouble is a brewing.
They've won 8 of the last 10 games. West Ham.
No. I said something about Villa.
No, we're off, Martin. Martin, stop. We're off that now. West Ham are in 4th. They're on the same amount of points as us. They've got exactly the same record as us. 6 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. Yeah. The only thing that we've got above them is goal difference. That's it. Now, the last game of the weekend, which isn't technically a weekend, it's Monday evening, Wolves versus Everton. What's going to end up in that? Because Wolves don't want to win games and Everton don't look like they want to win games either. So
probably a nice cosy night in front of the fire and chill out and have a...
Yeah. 1-1, not watch the game.
You might fall asleep with that one. That isn't going to be entertaining football, I'm telling you with that. Everton have got to bounce back. Everton have got to... They're an up and down team, Everton. Wolves started off the season okay, but then they've sort of gone down. They got a good win at Aston Villa. Their manager at the minute, for me, Wolves... I know they've gone down the... Is he Portuguese there, their new manager? Portuguese.
Probably.
Sure he is. Because I've got a mate of mine who's a Wolves fan and he said the football is not great.
Portuguese.
He's not
the Benfica manager.
Now, obviously, that's their opinion, but they're not enjoying it. I just think it'll be, for me, I would not be surprised if that's a draw. Is it a Goodison Park or Molineux?
It's at Molineux,
but... Also, Martin, you said Wolves started the season well and then kind of dropped off a bit.
I said okay.
Okay. Well, they start the season like crap and then they've not lost in...
Let's not get tied down in this game because I'm not bothered about it. It's one of them's going to win, one of them's going to lose, one of them's going to look terrible. What I wanted to do, I wanted you to think about the Premier League table at the minute. Now, Chelsea first, Liverpool second, City third. Chelsea, and this is the one thing that stands out for me right now. Chelsea, 23 goals. Liverpool, 21 goals. Manchester City, the team that has probably, in the last 10 years, we've probably got the most average goals over the last decade. We've only got 14 goals so far this season. And 10 of those goals, this is plus goal difference. This is the goal difference. This is goal difference, not goal scores. But 10 of our goals have come against Norwich and Arsenal in 2 games.
We've got as many goals as West Ham. We're on 20. Liverpool 29, Chelsea 26.
Yeah. So we're being. So that's the worrying thing looking at the Premier League table right now, Martin, is in previous seasons we have been the goal scorers, the big goal scorers. We've only had 2 games this season and got. So how many goals did you say we've actually got, Ryan? 20.
20.
We've got 20 goals.
Same as West Ham, one more than United.
We've played 10 games right? So in 8 games, we've only scored 10 goals. Whereas in 2 games, obviously, we scored 10 goals against Norwich and Arsenal. So that does worry me a little bit, the fact that our goal tally is down on where it usually is.
Well, our shooting accuracy is 32%.
And what was the thing people were saying in the chat last night, Rob? It was something to do with, so far this season, we've had 6 games we haven't scored. We played 61 games or something last season.
6 games in 12 or 14 or something this year, including our cup competitions. We failed scoring 6. Last season, we failed to score in 6 games in 62.
Yeah, so that is the only thing that's sort of
huge difference.
Yeah, Charlie. Yeah, Liverpool haven't got a striker. If you want to believe that, then you believe that, Charlie. But Mo Salah is clearly and obviously a striker.
And Mane,
they are both strikers. They are both strikers.
All I've read today is we were in a worse position last year. We were this, that, and the other. If every season was rinse and repeat, there'd be no transfers, no new managers, no nothing. We can't keep going on. Well, this time last year, each league is individual and each one is different. Yeah. Chelsea are better. Each team is better.
You might as well just watch match replays. If you think that the league is the same every year, then you might as well just watch it. Just pick your favourite season and watch all those games back. If you think that the league's the same every year, it isn't.
It's fine to say that, Charlie, but statistically, on everything, we are worse than last season. Our shooting accuracy, goals, they're all down.
Right. Anyway, so the other thing that I wanted to say was that the bottom half of the table, Burnley, Newcastle, and Norwich, all planted to the bottom. Burnley are the only ones with a respectable goal difference, which is -6. Beyond that, Newcastle are -12 and Norwich are -22.
Norwich have scored 3 goals all season.
This is my point I'm trying to make. When you are actually trying to place bets or looking at who's going to get relegated, Newcastle and Norwich are the only ones on the goal tally side of things that are way off the pace of the rest. Now, Burnley are on -6 goals, but if you look above them, Leeds on -7, Watford on -6, Aston Villa on -5, Southampton on -3, Palace on -1, Brentford on 0, Wolves on 0, Leicester on -2, Everton on +1. So all of those are within a decent range of each other. They're literally all within a 6-goal range of each other. Whereas below Burnley, who are sat in 18th, you've got Newcastle and Norwich. Newcastle on -12, Norwich on -22. So, not looking great.
The thing here is, when you look at it, I think Villa have conceded a lot of goals and they're on minus side, but they've still scored 14 goals, which I think will be a good thing for them. Whereas the team above them, Southampton, only conceded 12, but they've not hit 10 goals yet. And there's only teams that have done that: Spurs, Wolves, them, all on 9, and then Norwich on 3. And they're the only teams below 10 goals at this point in the season.
Yeah.
So I think.
But from a uniquely Manchester City perspective, Ryan, from a City perspective, mate, our goals are down on what they should be.
No, but I'm just saying in terms of like the relegation battle, as we were discussing Adam Armstrong last week, and we mentioned him because he, popped up at the weekend. If they're not going to get that goal scorer like Danny Ings last season, Southampton could really be dragged into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The one thing I will say, Norwich are already 8 off. That's just a match. So they've got to win 3 games to get out of that bottom 4, and that's bottom 3, and that's without anyone else picking up another point. Norwich haven't won a game all season, so they've got to win 3 games on the bounce now. Newcastle are going to be cut adrift. The problem is, like I said, they could hit January and they could be double digits behind everyone. And then yes, you may be billionaires, but then the players are only coming to you for money. Because you can't say come here in a relegation battle. We may end up in the Championship. So it's so hard. Newcastle and Norwich are in danger of cutting adrift. Burnley, I've got the expertise to maybe get out of this. That it's who drops in. And at the moment, I'd never thought I'd said this. Brentford need to look over the shoulder. Because like I said,
Watford, Brentford.
Yeah. They've got to look over the shoulder. It's who is worse than Burnley.
Right, gentlemen. That was Premier League Week 10. A lot of interesting fixtures have happened. Champions League week this week, Europa League this week, and then obviously we've got the Manchester derby next weekend. We'll be back. We'll be back at some point during the week. Thank you very much for joining us. We do hope that you enjoyed this 20, which we do try and take our little blue tinted glasses off a little bit, don't we? And try and look at the Premier League as a whole. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you, gentlemen.
Big thank you to everyone. Thank you.